Saturday. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a long list to get into. First of all, happy Nurses Month. Last week was Nurse Week, May 6th through the 12th. But I was on vacation, so this is my first time coming back live with you all. And today we're going to catch up on what I did for Nurses Week, DC Black Pride here in Washington, DC, the DMV Dermatology MPPA group, and our first in-person meeting, the latest I'm at. Some new positions that I've taken since I saw you last. How I had my first employee, the books that I've just finished, and the book I'm currently reading, the events that I've been to, the ones that I'm going to in the next month, and then 2 interviews one that I just had and one that I will be having in a couple weeks. So yeah, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Dr. Kimberly Madison. I'm a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner. And, I started my journey in social media because when you start learning about entrepreneurship, one of the key things that you're taught, particularly, is if you have a great idea, but you need the public to know you exist and that your great idea exists, into marketing. And part of marketing is being present, having a digital footprint. So really what happened is while I was building my business, I was starting my journey here on the social media. And in doing that, I have learned so much more and been exposed to so many more opportunities. And yeah, I just come on here to share that journey as a case study, right? For my life out here, to inspire the next generation, to show you what it's really like. Because so often we see where people are in their journey and we only see maybe the end or when everything looks really great and beautiful, and we don't always know how they got there. And so it's really important, before you invest any more time or energy into your education and training, that you just get some ideas and examples on what it looks like once you take this leap. And so I'm out here sharing my journey as a nurse entrepreneur. And I want to share more of that as the next months come along. And so you're going to hear me talk more about that. So I do these types of videos. I come on live weekly, to share my journey. Last week, the video I posted was from my interview with Dr. Farah Laurent, who is the host and creator of the Nursing Dose with Farah Live. I think her show primarily goes on LinkedIn. She is a top leader over there, top voice. If you don't know LinkedIn, if you follow me on any other social media platform, especially, I think I talk most about it on Instagram, how important LinkedIn is. It's essential. You can do so much more over there and get so much more return on your investment for the time that you're putting into social media on LinkedIn. You're going to get engagement. You're going to get connections. You're going to get partnerships. You're going to get opportunities. It's not necessarily just based on the algorithm. It's really based on the network, the connections that you choose to make. And so, for instance, let's say like many of us, we follow hundreds of people on Instagram. I've not seen some people's content for months, maybe a year, because of whatever algorithm rules that Instagram has decided will put someone's video at the top of your content when you open it. Whereas on LinkedIn, even if I've been gone a week, I'm still going to get notified and see all the messages of the people who I follow and engage with the most, which shows LinkedIn, like, those are the people I really want to talk to, right? And so that's one thing I love about it. And just like Instagram and the other ones, they have lots of like webinars and tools to help you learn how to maximize your presence on that platform. And even I'm still learning, really. I would say it's my newest, well, I guess YouTube's kind of my newest social media platform that I'm figuring out. But I was a consumer on YouTube, so I kind of have a better grasp, as opposed to LinkedIn, where I'm still really learning, but I'm learning really quickly. And in a lot of ways, I'm probably going to spend more time over there because of what I just mentioned in terms of like how much you get out of putting the time in. And what's possible over there in terms of like your digital footprint and establishing your own personal branding. So, yeah. So I think she's a top voice. But what I wanted to check was to see if her show is also on YouTube. And I'll put the link to my show in the description box. But we talked about entrepreneurship. Specifically, we talked about how to identify if you are an undercover nurse entrepreneur and you don't know it. But I loved her platform because one of the other things I do as I'm learning about social media, I'm teaching what I'm learning. She uses, it was called Restream, because for my podcast, I use StreamYard, but I loved with Restream because it automatically, even as the interviewee, allowed me to pick options to put it on my platforms, which made it super easy. And that's why you saw that here last week instead of um, me coming live. The only thing I haven't seen yet, which I have to figure out, is that with StreamYard, I can edit and I can create reels and shorts through StreamYard. So let's say I come on here, I interview with someone. Now I have the full interview. Let's say it's 20 minutes. So I can post that to, say, YouTube for long form content, long form because it's a long video. But then they have a feature where I can go in there and edit the long form, but also create reels, which are 1 minute long, at least for them. And I don't know, some of the videos, it gives me the option to have automatic captions. Sometimes it doesn't, and I don't know the difference. But yeah, so you do this one thing, the interview, but then you can repurpose that content multiple ways. So I get long-term content from there, short-term videos, short form videos, 1 minute long, and audio. And I use the audio to upload to the podcast apps. And I recently started using it to edit videos and like kind of have that audio be seamless and play over multiple images. So that's where I'm at now with my social media journey. But yeah, let me see if her show shows up on here. So yeah, last week was Nurses Week, and so for that, we on the podcast we premiered our 1 year anniversary show. Yep, she's on YouTube, but her show's on YouTube, but she invests a lot of her time in LinkedIn. She's always on there. But yeah, I'll put the link in the description box. Yeah, so for Nurses Week, for the Melanin Initiative podcast, we aired a new show every single day, including weight loss, PCOS, did we do one? And then we did 73 questions, which is a new series we started, inspired by NDMD, who is now an anesthesiology resident, but like it'll be starting this summer. But right before this, he was obviously a med student, and he was trying to figure out what specialty to go into. And with the pandemic, their like kind of shadowing opportunities were very limited. So he started this series on YouTube interviewing different physicians. There's a few nurses. I saw at least one nurse interview. I saw an NP interview, and I think I saw a dentist on there. And so he was just interviewing different specialties to see like which direction he wanted to go to. And it still was challenging as a med student. He flew to a lot of these locations to do the interview. And he admitted that it would end up being really, really taxing and that it would not be sustainable during residency. So he's kind of somewhat hung up his hat over there for that, but he gave an invitation for anyone who wants to continue it. And so I was really happy about that because I had just discovered him right when he was kind of getting to the end. And I was going to contact him for, just to kind of tell him I was going to do it. And so when I saw that he was opening it up, that just made it much easier. I still messaged him. And so, yeah, that's where these ideas come from. So all of us did ours. Alicia did her 73 questions with a nursing director. Geraldine did 73 questions with a aesthetic NP. And then mine was 73 questions with a nurse entrepreneur. And so we did all of that during Nurses Week. And we've also premiered an episode with Faiza Farole, who is she is the founder of the first freestanding birth center in Washington State. And so her training includes doula training, as well as being a certified professional midwife, which I'm still learning all the lingo when it comes to midwives. We have we've talked about Black maternal health specifically on this show a few times now. Doulas, their education and training, of course, the benefit of having one. And we're starting a new series with Charity Bean, who will be the star of our Becoming a Midwife. And so I love that she's coming, because one of the goals I have with the podcast is to increase the public's knowledge about different options in healthcare, aside from being a nurse and a doctor, which are wonderful options when it comes to career, but they're not the only options. And there's so many other ways to get into this kind of work and help people, which is what everyone says they want to do. And so gracious. She comes with an extensive array of experiences and credentials, and she's heavily involved in her community. The work she is doing is amazing. And she's in school right now. She is the founder of the Doula Lab. You'll be learning more about her very soon. And yeah, just really excited to have her on the show. And I forgot why I said that. So yeah, so FISA came. Oh, so yeah, so through them, I'm learning more about the language, and so neither of them are nurses, and so you can get into midwifery different ways, which is what I've learned, and so yeah, you can be a certified professional midwife, and so yeah, that's what we're learning over there, and so those episodes are appearing this month, and tomorrow, FISA. So she came on first last week to talk about the state of maternal health, and specifically kind of like what she's been doing. And then tomorrow she'll come on and talk about her entrepreneurial journey. And that's really exciting and the work that she's doing. But just now, I literally just got off an interview with Kenya Hutton, who, as we speak, is the deputy director of the Black Health Equity Center here in DC. But he just got a promotion that will officially begin in August. My goal is to get his video up because DC Black Pride actually kicks off this week. Let me make sure I get the dates right. Mostly because I just don't keep track of dates very well. And so I heavily depend on my calendar. But I want to say it kicks off this Wednesday. And so with the podcast in particular, we're changing. Our new episodes will premiere Sundays at noon Eastern. But when I do these kind of like promotional videos, particularly when events are pending, like this one is, then they'll come out as soon as they're filmed, basically. So these are our special episodes. And so I want his to come out today. But yeah, he came on last year. He gave us a really good background into the history of Black Pride and how the whole movement really started there. And then he talked about what the events were going to be for DC Black Pride specifically. This year, he's back to talk a little bit more. We spent more time talking about the Center for Black Health Equity, what they do, how they can help the community. And I would love to work more with them and learn more still. The Center for Black Equity. And then, of course, the events. So it's going to be, I'm trying to find the dates, but it's going to be at the Westin Hotel, the 24th to the 27th, which is this Wednesday. Oh, no, Friday. Oh, it's Friday. He was telling me something's happening Wednesday. Yeah, I think something's happening Wednesday. But I'll put the link in the description box. And the mayor, Mayor, is her name Marion Bowser? Isn't it Marion Bowser? I think that's her name, right? Yeah. The mayor, she came out with their proclamation announcing DC Black Pride Week, because each year they'd add on another day of events, just because, the need has grown and the community has asked for more resources. And so she's like, I'm just giving you guys a whole week. And so it kicks off this week. They partner with an organization that I used to work for. And so in addition to having all the fun events that you would expect, there's even like a gala or a ball. There's also some really informative workshops and a reception. There is a vendor market. So I'm looking forward to meeting all the vendors. I'm really looking forward to hearing the workshops and how I want to just learn more about the experience and what I can do to help as just a citizen, but also as a provider. So specifically what I talked to Kenya about offline was being able to learn more about that experience and interaction with healthcare, and how to create more inclusive practices. And while we're talking, I wrote an article on it myself last year, and I want to put that in the description box. But I was talking to him, like we could have like a whole like fireside chat with the community and providers, because sometimes it could be so simple. Some of the things we can change, because sometimes it's just the way your website looks or the front of your clinic or whoever's working at the front desk, right? The language they use and how they interact with clients and patients. And it's like sometimes we just don't know, especially if it's happening at the front desk. The provider might never be aware. And so that's something I get into the article. But I would love to do like a fireside chat, just hear about their experiences and what we can do to change that. So like sometimes it's just like the form. So even this week I was listening to a podcast, the JAMA Dermatology podcast, and they had a guy on who was talking about acne treatment in the LGBT community, particularly for people who, well, it was about hormone therapy, which I wrote an article on too. I'll put that in the description box. Because for people who receive testosterone replacement, so if you are a transgender male and you want gender affirming treatments using hormone therapy, you will receive testosterone for the length of the duration that you desire to have sort of the masculinizing effects of testosterone. That's one kind of gender affirming treatment in addition to like surgical removal of organs. But in terms of the hormone replacement, testosterone tends to cause acne, and there's lots of literature on testosterone-induced acne. But specifically for transgender men, you're going to be on it for a long time. I mean, the research says that even after 10 years, some people still have mild acne. And so in the community, it's become very known and accepted that, okay, I'm going to have some acne. But they also look at it as like, okay, this is a sign that it's working, right? And as a clinician, definitely I already hear you. We can go back and forth on that. But what was great about the conversation was like, so as the patient, they're like, this is a sign it's working. And what's not happening in the communication between the patient and the provider is that, oh, we have treatment for that. Like we can help you with your acne, right? Like that's an easy fix. But what's happening is the providers, they're saying, oh, look, from what I've learned from my community, this is a sign it's working. I'm getting the results that I want. Now my inside feels like my outside matches what I feel on the inside. And the provider's coming in and saying, oh, this is a negative reaction to the treatment, to the therapy. Well, that's not very encouraging or affirming even to the client, who now might feel like, oh, you might stop the treatment, or you might want to take this away from me. Maybe I don't want to come back and see you. And it's just being aware of the language and like, oh, first of all, I should talk more about the fact that there's treatment with this, and also maybe avoid using the term like negative side effect or reaction, and just talk about it from the onset. Okay, we're going to start you on testosterone. It's most people get acne. We know that's going to happen. And here are some options for that. Totally change the conversation. That's a simple fix, as well as on the I pledge form. So when people get recommended for isotretinoin for severe acne, they have to fill out a form because of the side effects of isotretinoin. And so you have to commit to either abstinence or being very, 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 very vigilant with contraception. So you sign this pledge, this form saying that. And I don't know if all the forms have been changed yet, but at one time it said like male, female. Yeah. And so, when you're making those transitions, you're not identifying that way anymore. So there's that language, those words can be very triggering. And so there was a movement to change it to say, to have the ability to get pregnant. It's a simple change. And I know some people are going to say those things aren't necessary, but they are, especially if you hear from other people's stories and experiences, that how much it can make a difference. And it's going to make people more inclined to want to learn more about that treatment. And then, of course, read and sign the form. And so I just think having a nice little fireside chat would help us to learn more. But as an entrepreneur, I want to address the needs of people who aren't being met. And so this is a community who has a lot of needs that you're going to hear about at DC Black Pride that could be met really easily if we just come together and talk about it. Of course, my interest would be in the dermatology space. And so hopefully we can get together and do something about that. But also other NPs who in other specialties who might want to be able to offer their services as well. So after which I understand, after Pride, we can sit back down and talk about that more. So really great conversation. He goes on and on about what you can expect at the event, what you're going to receive. It's completely free. Every time you attend something, you get what do you call it? You qualified to be included in a raffle. They're giving out tickets for Megan the Stallion, and I want to say now I'm because he also talked about last year they gave them out for Beyonce, and so I think Megan Stallion's this year. She's going to be at the Broccoli Fest, and I think the second person was Missy Elliott. Don't quote me on that. You'll have to watch the show and catch the actual details. So yeah, there's opportunities for that. And then at the Wellness Pavilion, which everything is at the Westin, it's all free because of what I just talked about and the experience that the community has, the LGBTQIA plus community, when it comes to healthcare, they're offering a safe space for people to get what they need: primary care, vaccinations, PrEP. I don't know what the other services are, but there is somebody there who's going to do, sounds more like they might be an esthetician. I'm not positive, but he said they're going to offer massages and skincare. So I'm eager to meet them and also see how I can be present next year, because next year World Pride is coming to DC. Huge opportunity. Like, man, you have to be here for that. And so, yeah, he's getting ready. So that will be the next thing that's coming up. And yeah, I want to be in the building. So yeah, so I'll be attending. My friend who's kind of connected me in Kenya will be there on Saturday. And so I'm thinking, and I haven't seen her since I started when I left as a traveler. So I'd love to go see her then. I'm trying to see is because that'd probably be the best day to go up there is when she's there. I'll have to look closer at the agenda to see if there's other stuff I want to catch. But yeah, so I just got off the call with him doing that. I've made a whole video about the DMB Dermatology MPPA group, how we're having our first MP or in-person meeting. And so I wasn't really planning to do that until the group grew larger, but we got this opportunity to work with someone who does these all the time. And so we took advantage of that to, hey, let's just get started, right? But I just think with the timing, our little group that we have that's planning, all of us have been on travel. And so that's kind of made it a little more challenging to kind of nail down a date, location, and a speaker. And so we're just going to hold off for next week. We're still reaching out to our other resources to see if we can make that happen. I really want to make it happen maybe in the next 2 weeks before everyone leaves for vacation. And then probably not do another one till the fall, again, because of the vacation. But that will just give us more time to plan out the rest of the year and how we're going to move forward with the group, which hopefully these in-person groups allow us to increase our membership and just get to know each other and, who's local in the area. So that's the update on that. So yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer, but I mean, that's real life, right? You're talking about busy people, clinicians. When you take this journey into healthcare, especially as a provider, or even like the person who's helping us, they're a director, your life is very busy and not everything always works out the way you anticipate it, but it usually works out the way that it should. So since you last saw me, I became a peer reviewer for the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology. I'm so excited. When I decided I wanted to be in nursing, I knew I wanted to be an NP and I knew I wanted to have my doctorate. And originally I was going to do the PhD DNP dual program. And then once I became a nurse and started getting involved in the hospital and having a broader perspective of healthcare and what I could do, what's like possible, I took an extra year to say, okay, do I really want to do this dual PhD DNP program? Because I also had other things happening in my life, which we don't really talk about as a clinician, but I had a relationship that I was really wanting to nurture, and just the idea of spending all my time in school after I had already done that for my whole life. I thought, I don't know if I want to do that, make that commitment. And so I took an extra year to pick one, and I picked the DNP because I figured I'll still be able to teach, I'll still be able to take care of patients, I'll still be able to be involved in research. And since I got my DNP, all I spend my time on is like research, reading and writing about it and trying to get involved. And so sometimes I think, man, maybe I should have done that. But because of all the things we learned in the DNP program in terms of like leadership and change agent and moving the needle, I think it was the best decision. And so having this opportunity to be involved in as a peer reviewer and also through my membership with Diversity in Dermatology, um, they have things in place to help us all get published, particularly MPs and PAs, because they have a supplement in there called the MPPA Perspective. And so if you become a member of DID, that's one of the benefits of your membership is we help you get published through our different partnerships. And JCAD, or the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology, is one of our newest partners. And so they've been super, super supportive, excellent communication, so encouraging. And so to have this opportunity is really exciting because I read journals for fun. And so to be able to take that time and contribute to the greater body of our field is amazing. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And I would be curious with I have on the podcast, we have Dr. Kimberly Souffrant coming on. She's a PhD trained NP, and particularly her areas like emergency medicine and asymptomatic high blood pressure. Her episode will be coming on soon. I was talking to her about her PhD program. I need to find out if they do cover like leadership and stuff in there. I would be curious to know about that. Because I know when I was trying to decide, a lot of the schools have like the two programs side by side and they kind of point out different things. But there are a few other things that could probably be in that table. Yeah, maybe entrepreneurship should be over there and you can decide. Because technically, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you don't need to do those things. But if you choose to do those things, maybe I should do that. I should make that chart. Okay, there we go. That's the entrepreneurial mind, right? You're doing one thing and something else catches your attention. So I've accepted the peer reviewer position over there. I already joined the Dermatology Nurses Association Journal Committee. And so I'm supposed to write 8 articles a year. With becoming a new MP and moving and trying to fit the full life that I had working 3 days a week into the life that I have working 5 days a week has been challenging. But I'm finally coming around to what that looks like. And not coming around to like, oh, I've solved it. Coming around into like what needs to change and how to make it work, right? And so that's been a big challenge. So that's slowed down my ability to do other things. And then kind of the stuff at work that's taking up more time also kind of slowed me down. But as soon as I get, I have one big task on my list. Once I get that checked off, I will be working on my first article for them, and then I have to write 8 a year for them, and so I'm eager to do that. So what I really want to do moving forward is create more space to write. That's what I want to do. If you hear me anywhere in a long period of time, in a long length like setting, if you give me enough time, I will talk about the fact that I just want to write. And so I've been spending a lot of time thinking about that and what that could look like. Because that was the first question I asked myself when I got my DNP. What do you want to do? Now that you have a blank slate and you can do anything? And the answer was right. And so that's how the blog started. That's how my partnership with Diversity in Dermatology started. And then everything else has come out of that. And it's getting back to that I'm working on the most. And so, so to make all that work, one thing I have done is hire a virtual assistant. And I could not be happier. She's going to take over so many of the tasks that take up a lot of time, especially on a daily basis. And so we had our first meeting this week. So when I was away on vacation, I gave her access to different accounts and I started creating a standard operating procedures list of things that need to be done and how they should be done and when, and quantifying those things. And so some of those things I have already thought about, they're already done, especially for the podcast. The podcast was from the beginning, was really structured very well because I had partners. And so it's like, okay, I want to make it very easy for them to jump in and understand what's going on and do anything. So that is really kind of like packaged. Like it's the easiest thing to hand over. And so that's where we started this week with our meeting, went through the things that need to be done, how I do them. And then also, I invite her expertise. She does this work for other people. I'm not going to pretend I know everything. I'm eager to hear what she knows, how she can make it easier for me and easier for her too. I say, look, this is what I've created. This is how I do it. But if you have a system that works better for you, let's talk about that. I'm definitely open to that. Whatever is going to help us both reach our goals, I'm totally down for. And so she's on board. So this week we talked about the podcast. So basically handed that over. And then next time I'll add on all the other stuff that she'll be helping me with. So man, like I talked about this week a little bit on social media, like it's not sustainable to do everything yourself. And so when I listen to like even like the Elite NP, he just released I went running this morning. As I talked about, I gained weight in the last year because my activity level changed so much from working 3 nights a week. I used to get anywhere from 15,000 to 20,000 steps in a shift. And then I was walking to work, walking to and from work, or biking to and from work. For like 2.5 years, I was doing that. But as I got closer to the end of my travel experience, I was doing less of that. And then when I stopped working, and then when I became an MP, a working MP, it became even less. And so I might spend a long time on my feet. But when I look at this, but I'm not going anywhere. I make a couple of steps here, I make a couple of steps there. So it wasn't, my activity level just shot down. And then with trying to manage that full life that I just described, and charting and studying, it's like the activity went, and it's like even though I'm still doing all these other exercises, it's been trying to be consistent and find something that works. It's not overwhelming. And so on my busiest days of the week, which I have two, I just don't work out. And so I maximize my time on the other days. Diet's been great. That's not a huge problem. The water intake, I'm doing this 75-day challenge with a local church here. And so I've been trying to get a gallon of water in a day. That has been it's tricky, but also very beneficial. And to be surprised how thirsty you actually get when you start drinking a lot of water. And so, yeah, I started running. This is week 3. Yeah, and I lost weight, which is great because I hadn't been losing weight. Like literally look at the scale and it was literally not budging, which is good. It wasn't getting higher, but it wasn't getting smaller either. So now that it's getting smaller, I'm so happy. I'm getting, my sleep could still use some work. I went on vacation last week, and this week I was like determined to make some changes. So I probably got the best sleep this week, and definitely last night, than I have in a long time. And so that's the next area of focus, is to really try to move the needle on that sleeping scale. And I think I'll see even better outcomes. So happy about that. Got my virtual assistant. So she's my first employee. And so even before she came on and I knew I was going to be hiring someone, I was thinking about being an employer, right? And so partly with my experience with the podcast, having like a team over there, I really wanted to relinquish being a leader. I wanted to be a partner. But then, it's just like, someone has to be a leader. And so I took it, instead of resisting it at first and being frustrated, I took it as like an opportunity to hone in on these employer skills and thinking about like my reputation and my style, how it is and how it could be. And so I started going back and reading some books that I've learned before. So first I went back to an old time book. Well, no, first, actually, I wasn't even thinking like that. I was reading Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs to help with what I do in terms of marketing and just creating a business and having clear vision. So I was reading that book. And by the way, those links are in the, hold on. Okay. The puppy always gets triggered by the squirrels. So I was reading that book, and which is Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs. It's an audiobook that I'm recommending. I only recommend audiobooks for people who are busy. And if you are a student, a practicing nurse, a new MP, and you're trying to transition that life into being an entrepreneur, or experienced MP in transitioning to being an entrepreneur, you're going to be juggling a lot of things. And just the idea of sitting down and reading a book, for some people, they might have time to do those things. I don't have time to sit down and read books all the time, although I started last week on my vacation. I made time for that, and it made me feel so happy. And I plan to make more time to do that, especially in the mornings, because I used to work out in the morning, but that was if I went to bed late and I wake up early, of course I'm tired and I don't have the time or the energy to squeeze in a great workout before work. That was also contributing to my weight. And so, while I loved being able to say, okay, I did this thing and it's done off the list, I wasn't getting the outcome I wanted. So now I moved it to after work. And believe it or not, I actually love it. Coming home, play with the dog, and jump into my workout, whether it's a run and being outside and just being able to like disconnect and just be like in movement and motion. And I start listening to music again. That's been awesome. Like I love that. And so it surprised me how energized I am to work out after work. So that was a huge change. And so what I'm thinking is now, since since last summer when I made the change to start waking up at 5, I want to now use that time to write. If I can spend the first 45 minutes of the day writing, I'll feel so much more accomplished because what happens is if I get home from work, I feel like I have to do something for my business. Like I just feel like I have to do one little thing, one little thing. And so if I can get that done in the beginning of the day, that's the new goal. Then when I come home, I can finish what I need to do for work. I can do my workout. I can do some more studying, which is what I want to do. So that's the plan for that. So I was reading The Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs, the audiobook. And in that he mentioned, so what that book taught me, what you might start to see in my design style is simplicity. Because obviously they talked about Apple a lot. And one of the things Apple really honed in on was simplicity. And as someone who loves to write, but has a hard time with being concise. Although the blog has helped me a lot with being concise because my target audience is busy clinicians. And if I want them to read my content, it needs to be get to the point. So that has helped me tremendously. But if you look at any of my old stuff, it went on and on and on. And so simplicity in design style and in writing, always still working on that. Because even if you're writing for a journal or even your own book or even captions, right, there is there's criteria that you have to meet. And so it's good though. It's good to recognize that it's something that I can work on. And so in that book, so yeah, and simplicity. So that's a new thing I'm like trying to get to. And I've started. And in that book, they mentioned Good to Great, which was one of the first business books I ever read. I rented it through my local library. They have like their own audio book app. And so I always start there when I'm looking for a book. If they don't have it, then I'll pay for it. But I read that book, and so I'm reading it again. I thought this would be a great opportunity. I'm taking on this like employer role for the first time, and I thought it would be good to just revisit that. And so I remember now that I'm listening to it again, I remember the first time the beginning was kind of dry, and I was like, ugh. But because so many people recommended it, I stuck it out, and I'm so glad I did because as you get further in, it really gets better. Can help you develop some I don't know about business acumen, but just perspective. And so that's the book I'm on right now. And when I'm done with this one, well, I'm always reading derm books. And I really want to spend more time doing that. Like, actually, I listen to them all the time, but I want to open them up and sit and like take notes and all that stuff. But there's this book, What Happened to You? Or What Happened to You? I think it's called. A book by Oprah and one of her therapists. So I really want to listen to that one. That might be the next book. I haven't even thought about what my next book is. I think it's going to be more derm, to be honest. Because I've listened to quite a few business books here lately, but I'll keep you posted. And once I figure out the name of that book by Oprah, I'll probably come back. I'll probably read that one too. But yeah, just in terms of like I have a long list of books. Just trying to be a good employer and learn what that means. I think that's where my focus is right now. And I have had some practice with that through the job, because it's not just delegating like as a nurse delegation, even though it is assigning. So yeah, so I think with nursing, especially in the acute care setting, it's delegation, right? Which is kind of assigning task. Whereas now it's more like, and even through my work in like the community, what I do, is roles and responsibility. Identify the goals and objectives, and then identifying and assigning roles and responsibilities. That's where I'm working now, like how to do that well, and how to treat people well, identify their gifts, their strengths, and how to place them and support them in their own efforts. Sometimes it's motivating, and sometimes it's finding the people who are already motivated and then building from there. So he talks a lot about that. And so, yeah, I have those descriptions in the description box. And then, oh, yeah, so since you saw me last, I think, I don't know if I talked about it in my last video, but Sarah Jakes Roberts, who's TD Jakes' daughter, wrote another book called Power Moves. And she was doing a book tour, and she came here to Maryland because she used to live, when she was married the first time, she lived in, I want to say Leesburg. And so when she was in Leesburg, she used to attend this church called Glen Arden. And so the stop for the book tour was here in Glen Arden. So me and my mom went there. I actually saw a friend of mine from college. And I wore our new logo for the podcast. And it was just like a nice little simple t-shirt with a V-neck that I bought, had made at Custom Ink. And it was the best idea. First, my mom wore hers too. And so she surprised me because first she had on a jacket. And then when we were inside taking pictures, she took her jacket off and she had this shirt on. So many people came up to us asking us about the podcast. And so I'm so glad, because this comes down to like branding, because the logo originally just says Melanin Initiative. But then when I was putting the t-shirt together, the old one used to have on the back like podcasts, health literacy, like a whole bunch of text, and that costs more money. And so then I said, okay, I don't want to do that. I want to spend as much money. And so why don't I just add the word podcast in the front, right? That just covers it all. And I'm so glad I did that, because when people saw that, they came to us and they started asking us questions about the show. And it's funny because they were really drawn to the title too, Melanin Initiative. And for me, I've been saying it, I've said it hundreds of times in the last year. And so I take for granted the title, but for people seeing it their first time, it really catches their attention. And so I gained a greater appreciation for that. Now, when we came up with that title, we originally had a long list of options. I think I still have that saved somewhere. And yeah, and originally it wasn't the Melanin Initiative. It wasn't the Melanin Initiative. It was, I think it was reworded differently. But once we all heard that one, it was a wrap. And so that's the event that I went to. And coming up next month, June 15th to the 16th, is the inaugural Nuweki Beauty Durbar, which is a wellness and beauty event in Hampton Roads, Virginia. Nuweki is the name of an innovative skincare line started by Eunice Kofi Obeng, who is the president and chief cosmetic chemist of Nuweki. She started it. She started it to, meet the needs of people of color, their skincare needs, and it's been around for a while actually. But don't quote me on how long. But I reached out to her. She's agreed to come on the podcast later this month. So we'll be able to learn more about her and the company and what you can expect at the Beauty Durbar, which I think they've trademarked. And so super excited to be there. The target is Black women. But I saw somewhere else, like, it's also wellness. And so I think I saw somewhere like in terms of like, who should attend. And I haven't been able to find that list. So I don't know if I just haven't gone back to the same place or they actually modified it. But it used to also have like therapists and primary care providers. So it was like a whole list of people, estheticians. And so I'm so excited to be there. Registration is free. I don't know if it's still open. I do have the link in the description box. But yeah, there's going to be vendors, and we're going to look and see if, because my mom's going too, if they still have vendor opportunities. So I'm going to look into that. But I'm just really excited. And so, I have so many brands that I'm representing. And so I've just been deciding like, how do I, what do I want to represent when I go there? But based on my experience with wearing that t-shirt a couple weeks ago, and also when I went to the Diversity in Dermatology conference, I put together some merch to help promote as starting a merch store, based on like the response from all that. I love that. So I'm gonna do that again. Um, make some more t-shirts. I think t-shirts. I love getting stuff from Metalita. Um, but I loved the t-shirt because it was big, it was front facing, it was large text, easy to identify, and people seemed comfortable to come up and engage. And so I just think the simplest approach is probably the best. And so I need to decide what I'm going to do so I can order that and get it done. So if you've never purchased from Custom Ink, the way, which is like it's a organization that can create customized items for you. So like clothing in particular, I've purchased so many things from them. So there's different, let's say, shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, long sleeve, short sleeves. And so different styles have different minimums. So, and I've tried quite a few different shirts. And so, for instance, if you just want one shirt, maybe for someone's birthday, you want to put your picture on it, whatever, um, you have like a certain selection of shirts you can pick from. I haven't been I haven't been crazy about those shirts. Like they all look great, but over the course of time and washing them, so that in terms of the quality, the shirts all have stood up to the test of time. But I notice when I get the women's style shirt and I get it in the size that I wear, over time I feel like it, and maybe that's maybe it's my body, maybe it's not the company or the shirt. I just tend to wear it less and less, right? And so with the shirts I just bought for the podcast, I bought 6 of them. So for this quality of shirt, which I think was a jersey style shirt, um, for that one, it was a V-neck as opposed to the circle, um, and you had to get 6, and so I chose that one, and all of us have one, and then, Kelsey Wilson, who's our trauma therapist, and then my parents, and so, that was the 6. Now for this, what I'm thinking about doing is I might just get different colors, and that was just so I can have the shirt that I want, and then just have more shirts to wear. But and I could give them out to other people for marketing too, which I love to do. I mean, I like that idea. But also it could give me a chance to see the best color background for the shirt too, so that could be an option. So yeah, I'm just thinking out loud with you all right now in terms of like how I want to market myself for that. And so I never go to an event, not anymore, just as myself or without a plan. And so even like for the DID conference, I wrote an article like on a strategic networking plan for the conference. I can put that in the description box too. Yeah, so you always want to have an idea because this is you're being gonna give given access to people, right? And even like so marketing is super important. If you have an idea, you want to start a business, no one's going to know how great your business is or how great your service is or your product if they don't know you exist. And so that's where marketing comes in. And that's why coming on here and sharing your journey right now, not when it's perfect, not when you've accomplished all your success, not when you figured it all out, not when you have made all the mistakes, like right now, do all that right now, share your journey right now, because now you're creating your digital footprint. You are going to allow people to take this journey with you. People love to see the underdog make it to the top. You can inspire other people. You can invite people in who are eager to help, right? Because most people are willing to help people who are helping themselves. And so, and you can learn so much more. And it can hold you accountable. Like if I come on here and say, oh, I'm writing this book, and then in 6 months I say I'm still writing the book, it's easy to just keep putting it off if nobody else knows I'm working on it. But when I tell you, I was like, oh, next week I'm going to do this, then all week I need to get it done. And so for me, that's like a built-in accountability. And for businesses, let's say say you want to open your business in 2 weeks and you're going to make your website live right now. Google is not even going to track your website for the first 3 months, even if you spend $5,000 on the website. And so you have to already be out there before you actually take a client or a patient. And so this is a great way to create your digital footprint and get you higher in the search, because Google it's called indexing, put you higher up. And so that's another benefit of just coming on right now and just say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about today, but this is what I did this week, and this is what I have to do next week, and this is what I learned, and this is what I need to learn. And you can just start there. Like, don't complicate it. Just like Steve Jobs, keep it simple. Okay. So yeah, so I already went on the nursing dose with Farah, Dr. Laurent. And then at the end of the month, I'll be on Sound Leadership with Demetrius Kirk, who is a DNP student. And yeah, he has two podcasts, but this one we'll be talking about leadership. And that's all I know right now. So my goal for that, right? Because I'm also not going to go on without intention. And so my goal is to have my next book done so I can talk about it and promote it. And so this book, I already put out 2 ebooks in the virtual Preceptor shop, which I want to move over to my blog. Man, there's so much happening right now with Etsy, but also there's a lot of talk about just owning your stuff. And so if you have it on any of these other platforms that you don't have ownership of, any day now they can just change the way you're searched, change the way you make money. Like, they have control. And so the website, I love my website, by the way, I really do. It's my baby, but don't overcomplicate that either. You can definitely do it. You can do it in a day. And there's free options, and you can just change it over time. It also doesn't have to be perfect. And actually, I'm going to practice what I preach. So my website for my practice, we've been still building that out. Not really building it out because it's built, but just like the design, how it looks, the words, the size of things. Still working on that. And I really want to open it up to you all so you can follow that journey, like make it a real live case study. So you can see the changes I make as I make them, the stuff I learn. So that's what I want to do. And in addition to that, it starts that digital footprint much faster. So by the time I actually open, let's say it takes me 3 months just to, even though it's going to be live for you all and to create a wait list, for instance. But what if I say, I'm not actually going to take clients until September, for example? That will have given me 3 months to just be present, right? And so that's another way you can look at the benefit of social media and just sharing your journey. And so I want to use it to, just be a living case study, but it will also hold me accountable and make sure I keep that a priority, because I can get easily distracted, not with frivolous things like watching movies or, chatting on the phone, but with other opportunities that could be amazing opportunities, but just like focusing, which is something I'm trying to work on right now, which is, after I got my DMP, had a blank canvas, came out here, played with all the tools, and fell in love with a lot of things. And now it's just like, okay, but where am I going to focus my time and attention? And what's that going to look like? And so that's where I'm at in my journey, in my entrepreneurial journey. Yeah. So, yeah. With on the sound leadership, I want to be able to have so that's the thing. So the 2 books in the virtual preceptor shop, are ebooks on nursing, like general nursing, because if you're trying to be a derm NP, you have to first get into nursing, and you need support along the way, whether that's mentorship as a student or as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs completely get it that they need mentorship and guidance because they've never done it before. But why, as students or clinicians, we don't think we need it, even though we've never done it before? Or we haven't done it in this specialty, or we haven't done it at this level, or we haven't done it at this stage in our understanding or practice or academic journey. So those books are there, but those are ebooks. And so this third one I'm writing, my first dermatology book, digital product. At first it was going to be another ebook, but now that I've been working on it, I want it to be my first hard copy book. So that's what I'm working on. So you can expect to hear more about that moving forward. And so I hope to have that done by the podcast. If I don't, I at least can talk about it, but I would just love to be able to direct people there. So hold me up to that, okay? Yeah, I think that's all we have. So yeah, we're 54 minutes in. If you made it this far, type JCAD to let me know that you're gonna look out for those journals, uh, especially if you're an MP interested in derm and you want to get published. That's another way to get your first job in dermatology is to start writing, to be part of organizations, to take on leadership roles. There's so many ways to provide care and to improve care and outcomes and to learn. You're going to learn a lot taking on some other roles that aren't just patient facing. So before we sign off, I want to show you my latest purchase. So like I said, we released a whole bunch of episodes for Nurses Week for the podcast, and each season I invest in something else. So for season 2 I invested in lighting, but I didn't really get to use it when we were filming together, but I used it when I started doing interviews on my own. So with all the lighting in the videos last week, I'm happy with it. Figured out the tone that we like, how to place them. So I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I was very pleased with that. We have a new setup and decorations. The girls loved it. Pleased with that. The filming location, the ability to save money by filming at Alicia's house. Check, check, check. Love, love, love. What we need to work on. So now, the season 1, I have this microphone kit. If you're interested, let me know, and I can send you I can do a link for that. Or maybe I'll just link it in the description because I wrote an article on how to start a podcast. So I'll put that. There's too many. You just need to go visit the blog and read all the articles. So yeah, this is a kit. And it's great for like live filming and when I do interviews. And even when we were together, we did it. It took some figuring out how to get 3 mics into one device. But for this one, for season 3 moving forward, I wanted to have other options for audio to make it easier. So I purchased this one, and it was going to be at one of the videos we needed 4 mics. Otherwise, I would have probably purchased Rode, Rode. That's my favorite mic. It gets the most reviews, and I look forward to investing in that in the future. But it does come at a price. And so it's a cute little bag, and there's 4 mics in here. So these are the adapters that go into like the phone, the camera, laptop. And then it's so lightweight, great for travel, because also, I'm thinking about the content that I was getting from the Diversity in Dermatology conference and, how to do better next time and stuff like that, how to get better sound. And by the way, the sound so far on the reels I've posted have been great. I was so worried because there was so much noise in the background, and that microphone, just like the mic in the camera, was pretty good. Like it could be better, always could be better. But considering, I was really impressed. And so this is the transmitter. No, the receiver. So you get one receiver and it lights up. Is this one turned on? I shouldn't have turned it on. Okay, yeah. So and then there's 4 transmitters. The transmitters are the mics. And so it's blue. It blinks blue because that means the receiver is not on yet. But once it's on, it will just be a solid blue. And it comes with another dead cat. I feel like I shouldn't even say dead cat because I'm part of the vegan community. But that just helps with blocking sound like that. The mic won't pick it up. So yeah, and that's how we wore them. And it just took a while getting used to not using your hands and like hitting the mic, but it's great. I can't wait. So yeah, so the thing is, you see, there's no way for me to know because there's like 5 settings on the volume. And there's no way for me to know what setting it's on. And so we had it all the way max. And so when I listen back to it, it sounds like it needed to be fixed. But when I turn down, like if it's my phone, I turn down my phone a little bit, then it sounds great. And so what I want to do is just figure out how to get the perfect volume on here so that the user doesn't have to make adjustments on their end like that. So that's what I need to learn next in terms of that. And so, yeah, so this week on Monday, last announcement, I assigned on to a new advisory board called Hair for You, where we're going to be establishing national standards in hair care, national nursing standards in hair care through the Children's National Hospital here in the district. And our first meeting is on Monday. So it's really honored to be a part of this. It is part of a grant from the American Nurses Association. There's a whole list of programs that receive that grant. And so we'll talk more about that next time since we're already at an hour. But that's what I have coming up. So yeah, we'll do that on Monday. Reach out to our other contacts for the DMV Dermatology group. And yeah, I think that's what we want to focus on. And then getting prepared for the new ECI Wellness and Beauty inaugural Durbar. So exciting. Not just to attend, but also to talk to her and just to be like a beauty event. This will be my first beauty event. So yeah, I'm really excited. If you have any questions or there's any way I can help you, please let me know. I'm going to write a list of the things I want to talk about. Next week, we'll do the Hair for You, talk about more about that and just like the other programs that are involved, because I can't really talk about like what we're doing specifically, but just kind of the general what's going on there in terms of nursing. Updates on the new ECI, like what kind of merch I've decided to purchase. We're going to be doing a merch store for the podcast. That's what my VA, she's going to help us get that rolling. So I'll be able to share more about what that looks like. And, if you're interested in doing that for yourself. And I guess I can kind of talk about more about what's happening with her and how communication's going. There was something else. Oh, the DC Pride is next week. So yeah, I want to be in attendance. I'm not sure if I should take my camera, what I would do with that content. I guess maybe I could show some footage here. So yeah, I guess you can look forward to that. So I just thank you so much. Any of you who watched these in their entirety, hopefully you let me sit with you when you're chatting. I mean, when you're charting, if you're in a long commute. But I just know when I was aspiring, when I was still on that journey. I mean, I'm still on a journey, but especially when I was like a student, even though I was working as a nurse, but I was still in NP school and grad school. And I would find someone and they would talk about their journey. Especially when I fell in love with derm, like, man, I couldn't get enough of those videos. But yeah, just NP entrepreneurs in particular. I just couldn't get enough of their videos. And then sometimes their life kind of evolves. They get interested in other things. And then they start making, so you binge all the videos first, right? And then they start putting out a few new ones here, maybe 3 months, 6 months. And so you're like, oh, there's another one. And you just kind of wish, like to them, you recognize it's mundane. They probably don't want to talk about it. They don't think it's exciting. But for someone who's like really interested, like it's all exciting. I want to hear about the mundane things. And so for me, it's like, and I just make these videos just because it's like, I guess in some ways it's entertaining. But hopefully it's just like motivating and inspiring. Like, you're going to tell your story one day and this gives you like a little bit of inspiration and hope to just like keep going and you're going to get there. And, don't overthink it. And just take your time, make your own timeline, define what success looks like for you, and don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone needs to go at their own pace. And I'll talk about it maybe next week. I want to put another article out on the, what do you call it? The blog about my journey so far. That's like a long time. This one has been a little overdue. Just about my entrepreneur journey, and it's taken longer to kind of get running, if you will. But I'm so grateful because it's allowed me to really learn more. Because when you first hear about it, especially if you have that, not if you have to be convinced about entrepreneurship, but if you're already on the boat, right? You're sold. It's just about what you're going to do and what it looks like. If you're that person, and it should be quick and it shouldn't be, you can just get started, right? Sometimes, and we can get stuck in like analysis paralysis and drag our feet, but sometimes when it takes a little bit longer, you get to really refine your idea, especially if you're someone like me who's kind of like has a lot of ideas brewing. And this week on Instagram, I actually shared my Myers-Briggs personality results. I'll do that next week. Talk about my results. um, your brain it just goes. And some people struggle with ideas, and then the rest of us struggle with refining those ideas, right? And so when that happens, it can make things take a little bit longer. But I'm so grateful that it has, because it's allowed me to go around the world, if you will, and still come back to the same thing, which is just confirmation for me, like, excuse me, this is what I should be doing. This is where I want to be. Um, and so for me, that's what this journey has been so far, just confirmation. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to be. And then I've had a chance to just grow my network and expand my network and knowledge. Like, this is how I can do it, right? And had the chance to see other people's journey, who I'm so grateful have shared it and been so candid and transparent in sharing that journey, the ups and the downs. And it's like, okay, I see both of the good and the when things are bright and when things are gloomy. And yeah, I think I still want to do it, and like, this is how they did it, and this is how I might go about it. These are the people and resources in place. So when I hit that wall, I know how to navigate it. And so that's why I make these videos, because I'm still you. um, just, eager to see what it's going to look like. And so, yeah, that's why I'm doing these videos for you guys, and to hold myself accountable. And I can say, so yeah, then I can look back one day and watch it. I don't have that thought at the moment, but that is something that is a benefit by being here. So yeah, let me join you on your commute while you're charting, washing, doing laundry, and come back here next week, and I'll see you same time. Well, not the same time, because the Pride is next. The one that my friend's going to, she's going to do the Saturday event. So I need to figure out when I'm going to come talk to you all. But next weekend, for sure, I'll go live. What I would love to do is figure out, just tell myself I'm going to do it at this time, and then put up a message so you know that I'll be coming up live that day at a certain time. So hold me to that. And yeah, thank you so much for your support. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you here next week.